Good evening, everybody. How's everybody so far?
Great.
Good.
Amazing.
So here's the Treasurer's Report for the 20th of November 2013. For the general fund and the budget, Senate bills, it's $103,077.43. This is because, remember, this is the money that clubs have spent already, not the money you've allocated. And the reason why it's up from last week is because of the Senate action that transferred $18,000 back into Senate bills. The carry forward is now, though lower, now it's $126,008.69, and the total is, that brings the total to $229,086.12. So for the Senate bills, the amount granted now is $92,974.20. Senate bill line item before the spending was $122,812. The current balance is now $48,645.90. That's with, of course, the addition of the $18,000. Carry forward, as I said before, $126,008.69. If you add that up, then it's $174,654.59. And at the last year, this week for last year's Senate, it was at $99,358.40 if you subtract the $45,000 from the cap bill. For the, here's the more visual aid for it. As you can see, that the increase, a little uptick right there. And then for the bills on the table, for Bill 24, funding for African diaspora, the request is $40,000. I couldn't find anything specifically for African diaspora, but I thought I heard something about how it's composed of other groups. Just like NESB, African American Student Association. There were some spendings there. I think 2009 and 2010, African American Student Association. It was like something for, I think, ABC conference. It was $6,000 around there that was granted to them. For Bill 25, Franklin and Castro and Ruben Everett to UC Merced, the request is $28,963.60. In the 2010-2011 Senate, there was a line item that was allocated for $25,000 and was spent $25,000. I'm not sure how much, though. I couldn't find exactly where how much was brought back in. I know some amount was, but it doesn't say it on there. And then any suggestions and questions?
Can you send this?
I've been sending it so far. Sometimes it comes in the next day, but yes, I will. Any other questions?
Thank you. Okay, now is public forum. If there's anybody in the public that would like to speak, please, I guess we'll go from this way, but sorry, let me finish. You have 5 minutes to speak. State your name and the organization you're representing. And yes, 5 minutes. Start over here and then we'll do this.
Alright, so my name is Martin Chavez, and I'm the External Vice President of the College of Republicans. And I'll be speaking on Bill 26. I have a video for you guys from one of the speakers.
Hi. I'd like the leaders of the Student Senate, President of the Associate Students at UC Merced, and also to my friend Martin Chavez, who was so helpful in bringing me to your attention. I'm Ruben Navarrete. I'm a nationally syndicated columnist and, in fact, the most widely read Latino syndicated columnist in the country. I am a CNN contributor, the author of a book called A Darker Shade of Crimson, and a contributor to various magazines, and I'm a public speaker. I speak around the country, and I have for 20 years. But more importantly, I'm a Valley boy. I'm from the San Joaquin Valley. I was born and raised in Sanger, and it was in Sanger that I stayed until I was 18, and I eventually went off to Harvard and began a career ultimately as a writer, something I've been doing now for a quarter century. My columns appear in the Fresno Bee. They're syndicated from the Washington Post Writers Group, and they go out to the Fresno Bee and 125 other newspapers. And as I said, one of the things that I do and have done in the past is public speaking. I do a lot of speeches around the country, and I have probably in the last 20 years done about 300 speeches, many of them to colleges and universities. And one that sticks out in my mind, in fact, at UC Merced, where I was a commencement speaker some years ago. And it was a great highlight. It was great to go back home, and I loved UC Merced and everything I came to know about it. It's a great jewel of facility there in the San Joaquin Valley, and you all know this already. You're lucky to have it, and the Valley's lucky to have it. And as I said, I've spoken all over the country, and recently I came to the idea that I should do more presentations, more joint speeches. And so I came to the idea of pairing up with a good friend of mine, who is likewise a national figure, and someone who's in great demand on the lecture circuit, someone writing a book, and that is Julian Castro, the mayor of San Antonio. I've known Julian for 12 years, and since he was on the city council in San Antonio, and then he was off the council for a while, and he ran for mayor. And I was in Charlotte, North Carolina in 2012 at the Democratic Convention at the invite of the Castro brothers. I know both Joaquin, his brother, and Julian well. And I was up there in the CNN booth watching history in the making as Julian became the first Latino to ever deliver a keynote speech at the Democratic Convention. And I told people I went there not just to work for CNN and write the story up for a series of columns for that network, my employer, but also because I have young kids. I have a 4, 6, and 8-year-old, and I knew there was history being made, and I wanted to one day look back and tell them that I was there. I saw that with my own eyes. I saw history being made. And he is actively being considered and talked about as a potential vice presidential nominee if Hillary Clinton were to get the Democratic nomination. The two have met, they've talked, they seem to get along well together, and it's fueled this kind of speculation. One of the things that I'm looking forward to talking to him about in a program that I've put together specifically for UC Merced and for a few other colleges that I've talked to is his political future. What's like to be, for instance, a charter member of the Blue Team in San Antonio, a proud Democrat in a red state, in a mostly Republican state. What issues he thinks are most of concern to Latinos, and his prescriptions for dealing with them: immigration, education, job creation, economic development. So many different issues that are out there, healthcare, obviously. So I want to hear his perspective on all those things, and then I want to hear a little bit more about his personal life and about what's like to be part of this dynamic duo. His brother Joaquin, who I've also known for 12 years, I've known them both for about 12 years. Joaquin is the congressman from San Antonio, and his mom is in fact a old-line political figure from the Raza Unida party in the 1970s. And so it's a political family and an interesting family all the way around. I want to hear about that and the challenges. Obviously, he has a young daughter, the challenges of raising a daughter and what he hopes for the future. It'll be a very interesting presentation. I've talked to a couple of other places about having it there, and I really would love to bring it to UC Merced if possible. So we hope to see you in Merced, and hopefully we'll continue the conversation then. Thanks.
30 seconds.
So 30 seconds. All right, so that is practically Ruben Navarrete, the most read Latino columnist in the history of newspapers. So hopefully you can bring him to campus.
Thank you. Please state your name and the organization you're
All right, so my name is Brace Lewis, and I am the creative director of the College Republicans. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of talk about the bill, not specifically the details. We did give out informational flyers that kind of detail all that, but I'm going to talk about more about the vision for this and why we're doing this. So with this event, I think something that we kind of came into discussion as an organization, as individuals within the organization, is that UC Merced sometimes suffers from, in its youth, because it's such a young campus, sometimes it doesn't get the same opportunities that other universities of California will receive. And that's something that we feel like we, as students of this campus, as citizens of UC Merced, should address. And that's why our organization takes upon ourselves to bring Julian Castro. Julian Castro is a young, charismatic Democrat from San Antonio. So why we're bringing him? So I'm going to go ahead and kind of remind you guys of some of his credentials. So as mayor of San Antonio, he brings high-paying tech jobs, which are important to the middle class in San Antonio. And he also promotes education. He's been doing a lot of educational initiatives, and a lot of these types of things is something that will resonate with, I believe, with our student population. Castro is a rising star in the Democratic Party, and he's also often considered a potential vice presidential candidate in 2016. And also, as mentioned in the video, he was the first Latino to deliver the keynote speech at the Democratic National Convention in 2012. So this is the kind of person we're trying to bring to this campus. I think this type of experience is unique, and it's something that we should try to support. So in line with that, I kind of want to talk about the benefits for the university for doing this. So one is prestige. So media exposure. UC Merced will be the first University of California that Julian Castro will address. He has not addressed any other University of California, and will be the first, before UCLA, before any other UC. So I think that'd be great if UC Merced is the first to reach out to this rising Latino leader. Also, this event is a rare occurrence because Julian Castro rarely engages with California, being that he's in Texas, but also he has a large fan base in California. A lot of Latinos, a lot of people in Silicon Valley, a lot of business people love what he's doing, and they want to see him. And the fact that if we can bring him to California, there's a large audience that's willing to pay to see him. And then also we have media connections with Ruben Navarrete, who is a columnist, and he will basically guarantee that our event will be showcased on different news media, hopefully national, but I can't guarantee that. But those types of things, just with his connections, we'll be able to really put this event forward and really tie it to the UC Merced brand. And then, because of these things, I'm confident in saying this will be the biggest speaking engagement at UC Merced since Michelle Obama's commencement speech in 2009. I think this is to the same tier, the same quality as that speech. I think it's something that's referenced a lot, and it's something UC Merced needs again, and Julian Castro can deliver that. So the next thing I want to talk about is opportunity. So our target market for the event, for people that we're selling tickets to, is Silicon Valley and Los Angeles. So Latino organizations, tech companies, businesses around the state. And we really want to make sure to reach out to these types of people, and it's an opportunity for UC Merced to make connections with these people. And that's something I'm really hoping to achieve with this event. And then with the event itself, it will provide opportunities for students to talk to and engage with Ruben and Julian Castro, and also provide opportunities to network with the attendees. With some of these people who are paying to see these things, they're involved in a lot of high-profile things. I'm sure there'll be opportunities for UC Merced students to talk to these people. People who are involved in Latino organizations, people who are involved in the Silicon Valley tech companies. Those types of things UC Merced needs. And for us to grow as a campus, we definitely need to start establishing those connections, and this is an opportunity for us to do so. So I kind of want to end with this quote. We all understand that freedom isn't free, neither is opportunity. We have to invest in it. And that's Julian Castro's quote. And I just want to ask that the ASUCM invest in this opportunity to bring Julian Castro and Ruben Navarrete to UC Merced, because I think it's something worth investing in. So thank you, and that'll be it.
Anybody else in the public forum? Got 5 minutes and an organization. You're representing one, please.
Hi, my name is Kim McMillan, and I'm representing the African Diaspora African Diaspora Student Association. Had to work on that name. The reason why this is important, in the summer, I taught Black theater at UC Merced. And while I was teaching it, there was only one African American who took the class. The rest of the class was made up of Latinos, whites, and Asians. In fact, I had one Asian young lady from Taiwan say to me she was scared of taking the class because she thought the class was going to be all Black people, and she didn't know how she was going to fit in. And what we did is we learned the works, I taught the works of the people appearing at this conference. I had people coming up to me, students. One student, he had tattoos all over his entire body. And he was a biology major. And he said, Kim, I have never, ever had a class where I felt that they were talking my language. And that's what's so important about these speakers. They're talking the language of the disenfranchised. Amiri Baraka, who is considered the father of the person who created the Black Arts Movement. When Malcolm X was assassinated, Amiri moved to Harlem and started the Black Arts Movement there. He went through extreme. He was on the street one day. The police in Newark beat him to such a pulp that he basically almost died. If it weren't for people hollering for the police to stop, he probably would have died. A cop saw him being beaten. He was a Black cop and was too afraid to say anything about it. These people endured racism to a level that you cannot imagine. Dr. Nathan Hare, who will also be there. He's considered the father of the Black studies. If it weren't for Nathan Hare, you would not have Chicano studies, women's studies, Asian studies. He basically went on to San Francisco State during the strike and stood up against the establishment to make sure that there was a Black Studies program, and that started at San Francisco State and became nationwide. The people attending, Sonia Sanchez, Askia Torre, they're major names that have changed how we look at race, power, and privilege. And that's what they're talking about. This conference, I've had calls and emails from people as far away as London, because they understand that these people are in their late 70s and may not ever get together again. We're bringing this very original people, we call them their OGs, the original gangsters, who changed the lives, who, because of them, I can go to a school like this. Because of them, I can stand up before you. And so, idea of a $40,000 to see this rich history. That's why I have letters from Dr. Nigel Hatton, Dunya Ramakova, and Sean Malloy. I remember sitting in front of Sean, and when he heard who's showing up, he started dancing in the room. He was like, unbelievable, that the idea that we can get people who change history to show up here. And when Jefferson told the other campuses, when he told the other UCs that, oh, we're getting these people, they said, why? Why is UC Merced getting these people? It should be coming to us. It should be coming to, because, oh, 1 minute? Okay, because we understand this. And the reason why it's coming here, because we are a diverse campus. We represent more than any other campus. We represent people of color, the disenfranchised, people who first started out, with the first people who had the first generation going to college. That's why it's coming here, because we will understand the importance of it. So I say to you, please, please support this. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the public that would like to speak? Oh wait, did you? We'll go with you.
All right.
5 minutes, please.
Yeah.
Organization.
Hello, my name is Devanya Bills, president of the Black Student Union, and I'm here on behalf of two bills. First being the Bare Necessities Bill. So, Bare Necessities, a lot of campuses have their version of an undie run. A lot of students have been looking for that here, but we decided to put a purpose behind it. We partnered with the Merced County Rescue Mission because every year they do a holiday drive for the local Merced County. So they look to serve over 200 families locally. And so what we did was we partnered with Fiat Lux and other organizations on campus to host a clothing drive. And we used this event for the end of the week to really promote the clothing drive and have students donate in bulk. So this event is supposed to be getting some type of media coverage as well, because we've reached out to the Sun Star and potentially KC24 as well, because Merced County Rescue Mission is really looking to expand and reach more families this year. So I really hope that you guys vote for that. Also, I'm here on behalf of the Black Arts Movement proposal that's up as well. As an experiment, for a week, I wore a symbol on my back or my sweatshirt of a different African-American figure every single day. My coworkers know, they saw them, just interesting little facts. But the reason why this conference is so necessary is because every single person that saw it and read it, nobody knew who they were. I didn't come across a single person that knew who they were. I was mentioning engineers, I was mentioning inventors, I was mentioning philosophers, all of these figures that were so important and that actually shaped where we are today. And yeah, not a single person knew. And that includes people of my own race, African Americans as well, did not know. And that's because we have been deprived of our history. And so having these figures that are, historic and they're well known, not only nationally, but internationally, I feel that it is important that we advocate for this program because, like Ms. McMillan had mentioned, people have been contacting her internationally about this conference because it is of that magnitude. This is something that is imperative to us, and this is something that we need, especially considering we don't have our own Black Resource Center. We don't have our own studies department, and we rarely have our own studies as far as classes. So this conference is very vital for the African American community and our community at UC Merced as a whole, just educationally. So I really do hope that you guys advocate for it, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Katie Moss, and I am the Vice President of the Pre-Veterinary Club. This is Zoe, our President. So I'm here tonight to try and gain your support for our bill later this evening for our trip to Sonora deer rescue. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our club and what we offer. We like to believe that we are a very unique and important club on campus. We cater directly to pre-veterinary students by, touring local veterinary schools and providing them with opportunities that will help their application and admission into veterinary schools. There are only 2 veterinary schools in California, so it makes admissions very difficult. Veterinary schools like to look for students that have a variety of experience with different types of animals, and our trip this weekend will definitely provide that for our members. We will get hands-on experiences with deer at this rescue facility, and deer are considered exotic animals towards veterinary schools. So it's definitely a very unique and rare experience that will definitely help our members on their admissions process to veterinary school. Again, like I said earlier, we are a very small club, and the majority, or not majority, I would say 33% are seniors and upperclassmen. So in order to recruit and retain our new members, we like to provide these free, volunteer experiences to our members that also in the end really help them towards their admissions to veterinary school. And by increasing the numbers of members that we're able to get into veterinary school, we're able to build and further a legacy for UC Merced at these graduate programs. So I think it'd be very beneficial for everyone.
I have a couple more things to mention. So like Katie was saying, there are only 2 vet programs in California. There's about 28 or 29 in the entire country. So that does make it a little harder. I don't know if it's true or just something my dad tells me, but vet school's harder to get into than med school because there's so few programs.
It's true.
So every little thing that we can add to our resume and application for vet school is really going to help us and get us like the competitive edge that you're going to need. It also should just be, fun opportunity for us to go and work with some animals.
All of our members are very excited to attend. We are doing a couple of other opportunities within the campus, but this is one of the few ones that we have gotten to do with exotic animals. So we would really appreciate any support we could get on this.
So another thing too is we've been around 5 or 6 years now. We generally work on campus to do things or in the community. Last year we took our first trip to Western University. That was sort of away from the campus. We really want to thank you guys. You did help us a lot with that last year. And so this year we're really working towards finding free opportunities for ourselves. We're not coming to you asking for conferences, although we might later for the Western trip again. But we went to Davis a few weeks ago to check out their program, and that was a free opportunity for us. It did cost gas because you guys are a little iffy on that. But we had a really great time. It was really great for us to go up there and experience that. And so also in the future, we kind of want to continue to find free opportunities for us. We want to go up and visit an equine vet, I believe, later, and just some other things that we've come across to help build our experiences. So, yeah.
And that's it. Thank you, guys.
Senator Mondo.
Point of privilege for a 5-minute recess, so we may change out the reporter.
Not representing a specific organization, but I'm here on behalf of Kim McMillan's Black Arts Movement. I just want to talk about how useful an opportunity this could be for UC Merced students. UC Merced is a research university, it's not a liberal arts school. And so students who come here as English majors who are interested in the arts, who are interested in cultural studies, they're kind of challenged as far as opportunities go. They have to seek out educational opportunities on their own, and they have to do certain things. They have to work a little harder to find off-campus opportunities and find places to learn about what they want to do with their lives. You know, the Black Arts Movement is a really good place to do that. The people who are coming to this conference are the people who started, you know, the Black Arts Movement, who helped run Chicano literature movements, who helped run Asian studies movements, who helped run all these movements and bring culture to the forefront of our national attention. And you know, there's a Chicano studies program here, but there's not an African American studies, not a women's studies, there's not an Asian studies. We have a couple of classes in some of those disciplines, but you know, it's not all there. And this program wouldn't just be for African American students, because that's a concern we've heard a lot. You know, why are we having a Black student conference here? Do we even have enough Black students? We're only 6% African American students. Are we even going to have enough people to show up? This isn't just, you know, for African American students. We have an Asian playwright coming. We have a young Latino playwright coming. We have a scholar who has worked with Afro-Latinos, African Americans, and Native Americans, and help with, you know, liaison between those three groups. So this isn't just for African American people, it's not just for people who are interested in those kind of things, it's for everybody. And it helps represent the diversity of this whole school. Because we're a very diverse campus, and we're in a very diverse area. We're in a pretty darn diverse state. So I think this is a really effective way to help bring this kind of thing to the UC, because this thing has the power to transform what's going on this campus. We have the power to make new studies. We have the power with this to make students interested in more arts classes, and more African American studies classes, and more theater classes, and more writing classes. Just, this can make students more interested in making the school bigger and better. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, anyone else in the public that would like to speak?
Hi, I'm Ana Maria. I'm here for, I'm the vice president of Hip Hop Movement. And I just wanted to say that we support the Black Arts Movement Conference because it will bring a really good opportunity for the students to come and learn more stuff. It has a lot of spoken word opportunities. And it will really, it's a really good opportunity for people to be more diverse with their, and open their mind to more places. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Anyone else in the public that would like to speak? State your name and organization you're representing here.
My name is Jasmine Armstrong. I'm actually a graduate student and I teach undergraduates. And the reason that I'm here is to support Kim McMillan's effort to bring this conference to our campus. I think what Devontae said was really important. If people cannot recognize figures of greatness from their own culture, how can they feel welcome at a campus? Janet Napolitano just recently said at Oakland Technical High School that the UC doesn't necessarily do the greatest job of being a campus that recruits and retains first generation and students of color. If we have a conference like this, I think it'll go a long way towards recruiting the best of the best and making students feel that their voices matter. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to old business. Resolution number 6, the Collegiate Library Silent Space Policy introduced by Senator Justo. Senator Guerin.
As requested by Senator Houston, motion to table indefinitely.
There's been a motion to table resolution number 6 indefinitely. Is there a second? Senator Mondo?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Mondo. Any discussion? Anyone opposed to tabling resolution number 6? Okay, resolution number 6 has been tabled indefinitely. Okay, resolution number 7, reform for healthy drink choices introduced by Senator Zisser. I'm sorry I didn't write it down. It was the format.
Motion to approve resolution number 7, reform for healthy drink choices.
Okay, so there's been a motion to approve resolution number 7, reform for healthy drink choices. Is there a second? Senator He? Seconded by Senator He. Any, okay, so it's committee reports, budget and finance.
We didn't go over this week, but our opinion hasn't really changed from last week. There was nothing really new to add, considering how no changes were made to the resolution. I'm trying to find my notes right now to figure out if it was the resolution number. I can find it here. I believe this resolution was not approved though by our committee.
Academic affairs?
We didn't talk about it this week because our opinion hasn't changed. We still think that the bill shouldn't be passed in any way. It's very, very far-reaching, very overreaching, and completely unnecessary for the points it's trying to make.
Student activities?
The results are the same as before when it was first brought to the table. We did not receive any new information, so voting is still the same.
Student advocacy?
So we didn't have any new information, so therefore we would still agree with the same. We still want the recommendations of having signatures to back this up, and if OSL is included in this policy or not.
All right, so as we talked about last time, we agreed to table it for a week so I can complete 3 tasks. One task was to talk to OSL. I did that. One task to get signatures. I did that. One task was to define what healthy drink is, and I did that. So the first thing is I have about 95 signatures. I went around. Out of all the students I talked to, I think one student actually said no. The rest of them were completely okay with supporting encouragement of healthy drinks. I didn't find one. That one guy said no, but the other 95 were completely fine with it. So I talked to OSL, and particularly Jim Greenwood, and he mentioned that OSL would support this. In fact, I brought the list of drinks. I brought a couple of copies. If anyone would like them, I can pass them to you. And so basically what OSL would do is they would take the list, and when a club asks for money, or not for money, when they just ask to put on an event, he could provide that list to them. Because you know how in the OSL office they have the cupboard with all the packets of papers refer to. That could for example maybe be in there, because OSL will support that. And the last thing, so yeah, signatures, the healthy drink, and then to define what healthy drinks were. I did talk to Heroes to see what they define it as, and it's kind of an odd thing to define because some drinks you can say are unhealthy because of too much sugar, but if it's like a smoothie, well that's kind of healthy if it's all natural fruit, but it has a lot of natural sugar, so it's kind of hard to define it. Basically, it's kind of in terms of the no soda, no preservatives. So that's the new information. I'm sorry that I cannot provide it earlier, but I completed those 3 tasks, and I thought those might be sufficient.
Any more discussion? Senator Gray?
I don't know how I feel about the first be it resolved. So you're pretty much saying that we're not gonna give any money or give any money to clubs that ask for drinks like this?
Oh no, it says that we take a stance against promoting it. It doesn't say we take a stance against not funding it. OSL asked the same question. They thought, does that mean that we're not going to fund a club just because they don't provide us with a list of healthy choices? And that's not what it says. It just says that we're simply going to take a stance against promoting it. So we're not, if a club comes to us, we're not going to say, hey, you should buy soda. I know we haven't done that in the past, but it's basically saying we're not going to do that in the future either.
Senator Brown?
Well, like I said before, we can't take a stance against something, be like, we don't like clubs buying soda. And then if a club comes up to us and says, we're going to buy soda, and we say, we don't like you buying soda. And we say, well, we're going to do it anyway. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, if we're going to take a stance against it, we would be taking a stance against it. And if this resolution is going to stand for years to come, who knows, we can't say that we don't want clubs to buy soda without actually taking action against it, because then the resolution is completely pointless. And we might as well have not said it if we're never going to do anything about it. And in that same vein, I don't think we should be dictating to clubs what they should be doing anyway. We're the organization that should be just supporting clubs in the amount of money they get. Heroes exists to advocate for not drinking sugary sodas. if we do that as well, that's because I mean Heroes isn't in a position of power to dictate funding the clubs. We are. So I think trying to tell them what they should and shouldn't buy for their event is a little bit of a overuse of our power.
Senator Zisser?
The way I like to look at it, it's like if you're going to another country and someone gives you a list of their hotels that they suggest are the safest hotels or something. That's what I think this is. It's not saying we're not going to send you on this trip if you don't do this. We're not going to fund you if you don't get this. It's saying here's a pre-picked list of appropriate. It's a long list. I don't know if you've all gotten a chance to see it. So there's plenty of options. I think there's plenty of options. That it's just like a suggestion box. That's all it is. The reason why I had to make a resolution for it is because there's no other way I can tell clubs to do that unless we go through this whole process.
Senator Wong?
I think we need to remember the purpose of ASUCM versus other departments on campus, even if it's the ones that involve students. For ASUCM, when we fund something, we don't tell clubs what they can or cannot do, be it even like registration or how they spend their money. So I'm not sure how we're actually implementing this as part of the bill or suggestion or anything like that. Again, like, you know, not to attack or anything, but the wording you used just then, you know, like you said, this is the only way we can do it, I will have to do something. And so, like, using ASUCM to do that, I don't think that is the appropriate outlet.
Senator Gammon?
Okay, so because ASUCM is technically under OSL, does this mean that we have to get rid of all of the soda that we have in the office because we do give it out to events? So isn't that kind of hypocritical of us to like say like we support this and yeah we give away like what is considered sugary drink beverages even though it's not on the list?
Senator Zisser, Senator Gray had hand raised. We'll go to you up here. Senator Gray.
Just my main concern is that the last two lines of the be it resolved, it really sounds like to me that we're not gonna, fund any proposal that includes sugary drinks. Your second final be it resolved, like I like that one. That's saying more of, these are the healthy choices you have instead of saying we're not gonna fund you. So like you said about the wording, I feel the wording there is kind of saying we're not gonna fund you.
Senator Zisser.
So I like to put out on the table, if anybody would like to bring up anything they think should be removed or changed, I am completely open to anything.
Senator Mondo?
I believe the last, most of the last two lines of the first be resolved to be removed in their proposal for money or for events or activities. I think that's a sticking point. I think most of us can agree we should support getting healthy drink options out there, not enforce it necessarily, but support it. But when we advocate against it in their proposals, I think in a way that could bind us or saying no to them for that. I know these resolutions are non-binding, but I feel that we would then be obligated to do so.
Senator Daniel?
I would suggest changing the bill itself instead of focusing on RCO organizations, but just say ASUCM as a whole takes a stance on promoting healthy drinks to the student body instead of just focusing on RCO. Because that would eliminate some cause of dictating who does what with student money, but it would also give a better message to the campus to have a healthy lifestyle. They have done research to this.
Sorry. Senator Gray?
Motion to remove the first be it resolved.
I accept. Caitlin, can you please just read that out? Senator Jones, actually.
Okay, well, looking at this list that you gave us of healthy stuff, it's just like juice, water, milk, mostly what's already at these events. And when you do go to these events, they do give you choices. It's not like they just have, okay, so you're just gonna drink this. They have water as well and juice. So then it kind of draws the question: is it really necessary to say this when clubs already do it?
Senator Brown.
We're getting repetitive. Call the question.
You know, call the question when time's up. Or is that what it's?
No, it's a call the question is just moving to a vote.
Okay. So Senator Brown has called the question. So we are now any discussion to move to a vote.
Yeah, no, this is. Yeah.
This is the vote to move to a vote.
No. Yeah. Second. No discussion.
Okay. Is there a second? Call the question. Motion to call the question. Senator Jones.
Second.
Okay, there's a second. So you guys are voting to end discussion and move to a vote.
Yes.
So you're voting to vote. Okay.
Yes.
All those in favor of ending discussion and moving to a vote, please raise your hands. The discussion is over. Okay, now we're voting. All those in favor of approving resolution number 7, please raise your hands. We have Senator Gray, Senator Hernandez, Senator T, Senator He, Senator Zisser, and Senator Garland. Is that all those opposed? Senator Jones, Senator Rosenberg, Senator Daniel, Senator Escamilla, Senator Mondo, Senator Wong, Senator Taylor, and Senator Brown. Resolution number 7 does not pass. Right? That's right. Okay. So we're now at bill number 25, funding for the African Diaspora Club, introduced by Senator Zisser. Senator Zisser?
Motion for the approval of funding for African Diaspora Club.
Okay, so there's been a motion for bill number 20 to approve bill number 25 funding for African Diaspora Club. Sorry, Senator Garland.
Second.
Second by Senator Garland. Committee reports, budget and finance.
Budget and Finance did believe that this was a very high number to ask for, 40,000. Though we do realize that cutting it any lower makes it difficult to receive to gain more funding in order to actually hold this event. So we were notified that if they don't receive the $40,000, it would be much more difficult to actually put an event to this stature on. Let's see. We also was also brought up a concern about if this would be a repeating event. Though I think that that's somewhat been resolved at this point. Though there was a suggestion to be made that we cut to 20 and do solicit for outside funding and saying we have guaranteed you this much money. Can you meet us the rest of the way? We did want to see some form of signatures or support on this, and we did want to also know if the community is capable of carrying 500. If our school is capable of having a 500-person conference right here at this time. This bill was not approved.
Academic Affairs.
We approved this bill unanimously. The academic merit of this bill is almost beyond comprehension. With the number of the people that would be coming here, it's an opportunity that it's an opportunity that if it were passed up, it would be one of the greatest disservices I could think of to this.
Student activities.
This bill did not pass through this committee. One of the concerns was like budget and finance. We don't know if this community can maintain and have so many people stay overnight because it's a 2-day event. And the other thing was we looked into the spending by ratio per student. So yeah, UC Merced students do not have to pay for the administration for tickets to go into this event. But at the same time, by passing this bill, that means the students of UC Merced paid for it. So by ratio, we're looking into how many people that's from UC Merced that's actually going to this conference versus the number that's being brought into UC Merced. So people at other UCs or other CSUs. Just because when we compare this conference to things like the Student of Color Conference, other UCs do pay into that, but this one is all UC Merced. So we just look into the ratio per student.
Student advocacy.
Okay. So we mostly disapproved of this, with the exception of one senator, because we just wanted more information about this event. We wanted to know how many students generally, because of our advocacy, would benefit from this, besides people who identify or are interested in the African American culture, but as some of the speakers that said during public forum, this also targets other minorities, such as there's apparently one Asian guy and one Latino person going. Well, as a guest speaker. We also were concerned about if it was just towards history majors and minors and literature majors and minors. And this was the first time doing one of this grand scale. And it is kind of generally just $40,000. And that was about it. I think everything else that we had in concerns were already discussed.
Okay, Senator Zisser.
All right, so there's a couple things I want to address. First off, we try to talk to almost I think every senator, me and Brian, either personally or in little groups to see how we can compromise with this bill. But we still want to stay strong with the 40,000. Throughout this meeting, we are going to change the registration fee because the registration fee depicts how much we can return back to ASUCM. When a lot of you saw this bill, you probably were just a lot of money. But we are trying to bring as much money back to ASUCM as possible so we can help more clubs in the future. Also, I just want to refer to what Jim Greenwood said earlier about the amount of students, like the ratio of students that would be helping. On average, we spent the majority of our funds this year, I think on conferences, right, for senator bills, and I think it's about over $100 per person. So if we had as many as Jim Greenwood said would come, or even close to that many, close to that much, it would be about, he said, like $66 per person to send them to a conference. And that's great, we love sending students to conferences, we do it all the time. But how awesome would it be to send them to a conference at our school? I mean, we'd save so much on travel and food and transportation and hotel, and I just think that's something we should think about. And I'd like to open up for discussion.
Senator Mondo?
Despite what many committees have said, personally, I actually think this is a great opportunity for our school. In the end, this is an investment into our institution, into our students, and this is an event that would probably, as was mentioned earlier in public forum, we may not get a chance to see again if we pass this opportunity up. I do think that though the funding is high and though the money will be returned, I do believe that the money that we'll end up spending on this event is more than worth it, and that I think we should wholeheartedly support this event and bring it here. I think even though Steve did tell us we should be careful about spending much of our money on having a huge, fantastic year, honestly, the money's been sitting there. We can use it on something that's really great and probably could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I think that's a great use of those resources.
Senator Jones?
Okay, so initially when the bill was brought to the committee, I was originally against it just specifically because of the amount. But Senator Zister and Senator Hernandez did go out of their way to provide extra information about this. And I think that it is commendable that this club has gone to great extents to find outside sources of funding, looking for grants. And then on top of that, we're getting these very important people to come to UC Merced. And then also charging to at least compensate for the large amount that they're asking to return money back to us. And this is probably the first time that UC Merced will have a conference of this nature. And I know it's been talked a lot of people would like to see conferences held at UC Merced.
Senator Hernandez?
So I'd like to make an amendment to change whereas number 9, the 9th one down. In the next case, we're going to charge a $25 registration fee. We're going to move that up to 60. Yeah, 60. So what that means is if we get our estimated 500 community members to come to this event, we're going to generate $30,000 in profit just from the tickets. And we still have, we're going to generate another $3,000 from copper papers. We're expecting 30 members to submit papers for $100 each. That's another $3,000. So in total, we'll be paying back $33,000. So ASUCM would only really be giving us $70,000. And I want to clarify. $7,000. 70?
Yeah.
So I know in the meetings we had with the senators, a lot of you were concerned of how we're actually going to attract the students to come to this conference. I know it's 800 students, 300 are going to be from Merced, 500 are going to be from the community. Community members include students from other campuses, UCs, Cal States. We have a plan of action of how we're going to attract those 300 students from here, from Merced. Like Greenwood said, Jim Greenwood said, we already have clubs who are supporting this, and more than 13 clubs with more than 50 members in these clubs are gonna each take, we're estimating that they're each gonna send 20 members from their clubs to this event. So that's gonna give us more than 250 winners that are already coming from UC Merced. Plus, professors are going to, we have letters right here. I have it if you guys want to see it. So we already have their signatures that they're going to put on their syllabus. If you guys want to see, I'm going to pass it around. Stating that they're going to make it extra credit for their students to attend this event. So that's another 100. So we're over the 300 that we need. For community members, she sent me a plan of publicity plan of action. So what we want to do is we're gonna get this, the name out by publicizing it in our newspaper. We're even gonna go national with this. We're gonna have about 500 posters posted around Merced. We're gonna advertise this in radio stations around UC campuses. We're also gonna planning on talking to local organizations and churches, just so that community members are more aware of this. And yeah, pretty much it.
Senator Gray.
So I like the spirit of this bill. It's a good idea. I think, like everybody says, it's going to be a great opportunity. My main concern with this is if anybody realizes what's the biggest room here on our campus and how many people it actually sits. It's rainy season, so outside it's not going to be possible. There's all these little things, like let's say for example UCLA, for those of you senators and members of the UC community that went to SOCC, I mean UCLA is a long-standing campus and it's one of the biggest. And I was there and their organization was really awful in my opinion. You know, there was lack of communication between people where I was supposed to go and where I was supposed to be. And we're talking about a school that has a lot of space. Our school is, the main topic is we don't even have space or enough space for all the students here. I mean, classes are, you know, I'm not going to say packed, but there's not enough space. So where are you guys going to put 800 people on this campus for 2 days straight? That's my main concern.
I like the old Florida gym being able to talk about the space issue with 800 people.
So what we've done is we've reserved 25 rooms in the classroom space. The auditorium holds just over 370 people, and we have a number of classrooms that hold over 100 people, a number of 120 more or less. So what we've done is, since some of the rooms are actually discussion panels, if you will, so we're essentially having an A and a B registration. So if you're in rotation, there's a couple details. So essentially, if you're in the 300 or 400 group that's registered with A, you're going to the auditorium in session A and hearing that session. If you register with session B, you're going later in the afternoon. So what we're doing is basically they're mostly breakout sessions. So we're not having the giant 800 collaborative UBA meeting with 1,000 people in the room. We're basically keeping it small size, mostly breakouts, and the mentality of that is to put people in those room situations where they're able to view the research that people are submitting also. So those that are in block A, those forums and researches that are available will be going to that. Does that make sense? So essentially you have an A and B, well, A's in the big rooms, B's in the little rooms. B's in the big rooms, A's in the little rooms. And so essentially we're breaking it up into 2 400 slots. So I hope that makes sense. If not, I'll try to work on more.
More discussion? Senator Egan.
And we have had a conference with over 800 people on campus before, so this won't be our first one.
Yeah, Brian, can you just go a little bit into the call for papers? Like, where exactly, is that coming from a certain university or?
Call for papers, that's where we're gonna, Call for papers is gonna, it's where people have the opportunity to submit papers they want to present in this conference. And as of right now, I believe she said we have about 30 scholars who want to do submit papers for $100. So that's going to give the extra $3,000.
That's coming from, the money's coming from
That's
us?
just from call for, no, we're going to generate that money.
The money's coming from an outside university?
That's coming from people who are submitting papers. It could be anyone, community members, people from other universities. Yeah.
Senator Mondes.
I'd like to report to Charles. Yeah, I was just going to add, so we hosted here on campus the All Black Conference, the UC All Black Conference, back when we had 6 fewer buildings than we currently have, and that hosted 500 students at that time, and we were able to manage that on campus.
More discussion?
I'd like to
Senator Hernandez.
I'd like to report to Brian.
Thank you. As I've mentioned to a lot of you, I think this is a pretty cool bill. It is something that is once in, I'd say, a long time opportunity to set out there. But what was discussed, and as I mentioned in my report, I think I've mentioned a lot of positives. What I think this bill needs to state specifically is if we're getting paid back that money, we need to be explicitly stated as the first priority for that. There are many people that are contributing money, so if money is made, it could be distributed to all of the funding sources before ASUCM. So I think that's really important. And I feel that while $20,000 may be great, you might want to split $40,000 apart. Basically, I was comfortable in stating was $20,000 as a grant money, and anything over that, I think we need to make sure is fundraised back, and I wanna make sure that the bill has those specific things in it written down. And that if you take this money, this grant, that's the strings attached. We're number one getting paid back. Maybe this will only cost us $7,000 because that 33 will go to us, so.
Senator Daniel?
I'd like to add that it does say that in the bill itself, it says all underage funds return to ASUCM. And
Whereas.
it's in the whereas. It's right, it's whereas on the page, under, number 9. And I also would like to add, during the Students of Color Conference, I reached out to Jessica Trumbull, the Commissioner of the Cultural Affairs Committee at UCLA, and she expressed great interest in this type of conference. And quite honestly, given the grades of UCLA, they would possibly, if not outright, contribute towards this conference. I'm expecting a response from her soon, just to add to me.
Senator Brown?
Honestly, if they gave us $0 back from this, it would still be worth it. There's this, I wouldn't even care to ask them to pay us back for this, for the amount that would come out of, for the amount of worth that this has. I really don't know how to explain just how important this could be. I mean, looking at the names on here, and I have a minimal knowledge of this era and time, but these names, I mean, really, sure, this isn't like the super A team of the movement, but most of those people aren't alive. This is a lot of important people, and the importance of these people would be, it's worth more than I think anyone here realizes. And to be debating the amount, yes, but when are you, I mean, to put a price on this, the amount that you could get out of this is more than priceless. It's beyond comprehension at this point. Really, I mean, for $40,000, that's nothing compared to the work that this has. I really just want everyone to realize that, because everybody keeps debating this, the amount. What about $40,000? Yes, but is money not well spent when it provides such a massive benefit to the students that put forth this money to this fund? This is exactly the kind of things that people expected. Large conferences that appeal to the academic and the activities side of this entire campus. This is exactly what people thought that they would be funding. And to be debating the amount of money like $40,000 is such a, yes, it's a large amount of money. I'm not gonna debate that. But the question you've also got to ask is it worth it? And far and away it is, at least in my opinion, far and away it is, regardless of how much they give back to us.
Senator Geller?
Two things. One, I'd like to make a friendly amendment to whereas, it's not numbered, but we are charging any non-UC Merced students a fee of $25. You said it was $60 now?
Yeah, it changed.
Yeah, you changed it to 60 just so like everyone that's looking at our bills online is made aware of that.
So that would raise $30,000.
Yes. So the $12,500 would become $30,000. And people from outside Merced County, as stated in the bill, where are we going to host them? And how are we going to shuttle them from their like respective hotels to the campus? This is something that we thought of.
Any more discussion? Senator Zisser?
Like the yield
So-
Florida.
So the 500 community members are community members. So it's not a student conference for them. so I don't feel obligated to provide transportation or hotel accommodations. Most of the time we send students to conference, we're sending them to a student-oriented conference, and we're setting up hotels, and there's certain things because you're traveling as a group. This is the students that we're catering to are UC Merced students. The other 500 people, whether they be students from another campus, graduate students, people down the street, are all being lumped into that community group. And we're not supplying the students or other people, community, we're not supplying transportation or those things like that. That's part of the reason why the conference is what it is. As soon as we start dabbling in providing hotel, I mean, we're checking with hotels, there's plenty of rooms, trust me. But when we start doing that, that's why conferences cost more, because now we're providing student staffing and whatnot and making all those details. And that's one more thing that somebody alluded to that may or may not go wrong with the conference is whether we're making those hotel reservations. So what we do is we contact the hotels, we ask them to block the rooms for the hotels, and those people are on their own for transportation and whatnot. So it's a legitimate question, but we're not necessarily concerned. We're catering to undergraduate students. We're inviting the community because we value the work of it as a community service. Does that make sense?
You're
We're not necessarily worried about their travel, where they're staying.
Discussion time is up. I need a motion or we'll move to vote. Senator Zisser?
Motion to extend time by 3 minutes.
Okay, there's been a motion to extend time by 3 minutes. Is there a second? Senator Mondo?
Second.
Second by Senator Mondo. Any discussion? Anyone? Senator Guerrero?
I kind of feel that everyone knows what everyone's saying.
Senator Brown?
Who got
Senator Mondo?
I believe he has something to add to it, an amendment.
Okay. Any more discussion? Anyone opposed to extending time by 3 minutes? Okay, time has been extended by 3 minutes.
So,
Senator Zisser?
As Jaron stated, he wants it to be said there that we are having like some kind of be enacted that said, because we talked about the 33,000, right? The 30,000 registration fees, 3,000 some call papers. So I'd like to change my own bill and have it say be it further enacted below the be it enacted. Be it further enacted. And, the first $33,000 received for this conference come back to, or be returned to ASUCM. Be returned to the ASUCM general fund.
Senator Daniel?
And to add to this, speaking from a slight business perspective, with such a conference being hosted and knowing the success rate is really, really high, it falls into the statement, you have to spend a little money, make a little money. Further along the lines, as we host more and more conferences, the cost will most likely go down less and less because more people will be willing to donate or sponsor conferences of large scale as you said. So we won't be pocketing most of the money, and all conferences have a value to students. And since we do represent the complete undergraduate body, and this is catering strictly to, for the most part, the undergraduate body, this conference would add to further, under, like the leadership conference, it would add more merit to UC Merced to host conferences of this scale. Further down the line.
Any more discussion? Okay, we're now moving to vote. All those in favor of approving bill number, I can't see my laptop, bill number 25, funding for the African Diaspora Club, please raise your hands. All those opposed? Bill number 25 has been passed. Okay, we're now moving to bill number 26, the Castro and Everett bill, introduced by Senator Wong.
So I hope everyone got a chance to,
You
read
didn't.
the,
Motion to
oh,
approve.
sorry, I motioned to put a vote on, bill number 26.
Motion to approve.
Approve, bill number 26.
There's been a motion to approve bill number 6. Is there a second? Senator Zisser?
I second.
Seconded by Senator Zisser. Committee reports, budget and finance.
We appreciated the discounted costs across the board by receiving massive discounts on each speaker. We think this event has broad appeal, and that we appreciate also that should this funding go through, that they will solicit people and organizations for more funding in order to decrease the cost of the event. Ticket sales, of course, will revert back to ASUCM. It will be immediately sent back to us, so we will be able to make some money back on this event. And this bill, other than that, was approved.
Academic affairs.
This bill was approved unanimously. Again, it has a lot of merit to it. The amount that could be learned here is, there's a lot that could be learned from these two speakers, and much of it is very, very pertinent to today's time.
Student activities.
It was passed unanimously. We thought it would be good as an activity we have just because students have always wanted to have a big scale event. This is not so much of an event, but so much for like speakers and stuff like that. So, we're actually voted for it.
Student advocacy.
This bill was unanimously disapproved because we wanted more information. Specifically, we were concerned that, well, now that I have the information here, that 250 tickets are being sold for the event, and it's being held in the auditorium, which can seat about 370 people, and that means that only like 120 students would get in for free from UC Merced. So we don't know how many students on campus would be willing to attend this event, and if there are more than 120 students, like, would they need to pay to get in? Because they plan on selling 250 tickets in order to pay back ASUCM. Also, we wanted to know how many students were in attendance for the Carl Rove event and the Ralph Nader event when they went on campus, and how many people are expected to come from that. And that was about it.
Okay. Senator Wong.
Okay, yeah, so hopefully you guys all got a chance to read it. I just want to highlight several things. So if you look at it, there's the first section, it says the cost without the discount. And then the second portion tells you the difference. So because of these discounts, it saves a total of almost 12 grand. The reason why I pushed for to have on the table for this week was because without, it's an urgency thing, without that, that discount wouldn't have happened. Also, the other thing was, hold on, so for the tickets specifically, we're expecting to be able to pay at least half of it back to ASUCM. So for the sponsorship also, so like by the tickets alone, it's 18 grand, about 18 grand. And then with the sponsorships, there are specific sponsorships that basically says they'll be down to sponsor this event if this event was to pass through with the ASUCM, right? Because they can't say that they're going to invest in this without having us actually have an event. So some of that would be Fast Credit Union, and the other one is, I can't say the Spanish name, so I'm just going to say the English name. It's called Knowledge is Power. It's the largest nonprofit Spanish language media in the United States. So they'll be willing, that's for sure. And there are also some, we don't want to really announce these companies or organizations just because, just in case. But there are like pretty solid ones that would be able to, or that wants to sponsor this event, such as JP Morgan and Chase, and then Silicon Graphics. So that's just to let you guys know there are sponsors that is ready to sponsor us for this event. And that 18 grand will be for sure to come back to ASUCM. of the 28 that we're asking. And besides that, this is a great opportunity. I urge you guys to think big, think long term, right? For these speakers, we're offering opportunities for students to network with them so we can continuously bring those people back. Right? We talk about the Silicon Valley. So for instance, like I know for certain organizations and clubs on campus where they're specifically geared towards educational purposes, this is a good connection and networking place for them. Also, the other thing is I do understand that some of our concerns is tangible results. So things like expanding club size or what students will do immediately. But things like this, I think we need to think about this event is not for college Republicans or the Democrats at AUC Merced, but it's for the students to understand what's going on around the world, for them to know what, like, to be aware. This has nothing to do with the club itself. Just think about that. Also, if being affiliated for any, like political stuff like that, I just want to make sure that all of us are in understanding that these speakers that we're asking to bring, they're not Republicans, even though it's hosted by college Republicans. They're actually Democrats. So just understand that this has nothing to do with political affiliation, it's just for the benefit of the students. So I want to highlight again that so the speakers, they kind of come like a package, right? So for the media coverage, all those are not, we don't have to pay anything for that. So for instance, like by bringing Ruben in, because of his connections and network, he's able to bring all of those to UC. So that's one cost that we cut out already. Do you guys have any questions?
Senator Munder?
I'd just like to inform the table, in case you didn't already know, I'm the president of the College Republicans, and I'll be abstaining on this vote because of my affiliation with them. Though, as a result of being so close to the organization, working with them on this, in planning this event, we decided that it'd be really great to do something a little bit crazy, do something that usually the Republicans wouldn't do, bring a Democrat to a school like ours. So when we say we want to bring a high-level event on the scale of what we had with Michelle Obama, we're basically saying we want to be like we're going to be on the same scale as every other UC. We're going to get the same speakers they can, the same caliber speakers, and get the same kind of event here to show our students that yeah, we are really a UC. We're going to have these great things here. And honestly, these are some big names who can offer some great resources, some great education, and hopefully a great event for all the students to enjoy here. And it's something that they can really participate in, hopefully actually have the opportunity to actually speak to them one-on-one. And that's why the College Republicans will be incurring the costs of the smaller events going before and after a reception and a dinner. That way they can further, or meet and greet and a reception, sorry. That way that our students, our student leaders, students on campus can further find a way to connect with these people that have a chance that they can say they met the man who could be the vice president of the United States one day, or they could meet the number one read Latino columnist in the nation. So in the end, these prices are incredibly good considering what they usually go for. And by getting them together, this rate in the end hopefully saves ASUCM money. And of course, anything we make, all the sponsorships we're bringing in after ticket sales will hopefully go towards decreasing the cost of this event so we can pay more money back to ASUCM so that the students can benefit, so that ASUCM doesn't lose too much money on it.
Senator Zister?
So all the money that you're asking for, it says it's going to the speakers' fees and like security and like their travel expenses. How much is the club itself spending on marketing to the outside?
Senator Munder?
Those kind of numbers are going to be determined based on if this bill is passed, we'll start determining those numbers as time comes. We have club funds to offer for this. If I can, I'd like to yield to Martine.
All right, so the marketing aspect of this, first of all, when it comes to marketing, Ruben nodded that he's already agreed that Media Connection will be here. So he used to work for the Fresno Bee, and he has good connections with ABC 30 and Lotus Network. So it will be marketed throughout the state and nationally. BC work at CNN, so the event might be coming out in CNN as part of that. And also as marketing, as far as sponsorships piece, she mentioned JP Morgan and Chase, and you guys might be thinking, how are we going to get that name? The way we're going to get them is that JP Morgan and Chase has been contributing to Julian Castro in the past his event. And also, I know the Vice President of Senior Relations at JP Morgan. So we've been talking, so that's where we're going to be getting that sponsorship at.
Senator Moore?
I also just want to give you guys some kind of background. So for Central Valley, this cost is fairly good. So for instance, like I think it was last year, I believe, the cost to get Sarah Palin to come to Central Valley was at least 110 grand, just per alone. And then for Carl Roof, right? You asked about, was for his, like ASUCM gave about 50K in the past, with 700 students attending and having 18 grand returned to ASUCM in the past. But at the same time, I do not think that we should compare any events or speakers, be it past or current or like against other organizations. But that's just like for your information. And then like looking back to for their lodging, that's fairly cheap for a national-wide speaker and recognized individual. So it's just something for you guys to account for. Because it's only $150. It's a normal person price per night. And they're willing to do that because they want to come back and benefit from the Central Valley where they're from.
Senator Sir?
Since it's a politician we're bringing, and we're all politicians, is there any way we get to have a meet and greet with them before?
Senator Monda?
So we are planning to have a meet and greet beforehand. We invite student leaders to prominent members of the campus, basically, and we try and find also students like the government organizations, so that people like us, yes, and our politicians can meet them, as well as other members of the UC Merced community who would very much like a chance opportunity to meet these people. Charles.
Yeah, I was just getting clarification on the Carl Rove event. So there were about 700 people in attendance, only 100 of those were students. And so they actually were able to sell tickets to close to 600 people from the surrounding community that came into the Carl Rove event. So they attracted quite a large number of community members.
More discussion? Okay, we'll now be moving to the vote. Senator Gavin?
Thank you. So as Agnes mentioned, this is a discussion we had earlier about the tangible effects, and I want to make this clear. I don't think we should go into this with the mentality that because a speaker is high profile, that's good for students. That because they're worth more, that's good for students. That because the ticket value is discounted, that's good for students, right? Looking at it without that kind of idea, oh, well, they're more famous coming here. It's important to realize, okay, we're not doing this for the College Republicans Club. We wouldn't spend this much money on one club without another prevailing reason. That has to be good for all students, that's good for the campus. So, what does the campus get out of this? The campus gets, one way that was mentioned, okay, the club's able to be successful, grow in numbers. I think that Carl Rove as an event or Ralph Nader, different events, we have to compare them to previous events. That's very important in seeing that. I personally was one of the head people of running the Ralph Nader event, and it was a flop. I'd say that even though that was a high profile speaker, it didn't end up working. So one thing is looking at, okay, club growth. We haven't seen that in the past, and is that necessarily going to be happening? Another is it helping people get involved in general on campus? Are more people getting involved in student organizations, student leadership, student activism? Are they getting involved in a campaign of something? And I also don't know if that really happened. I have not noticed any marked difference before and after those events. And the last is, okay, so if someone goes to an event because a famous person is speaking there, it's, yes, somewhat educational, they do learn something, but is it $28,000 worth of learning for what would I think be about 2 hours of stuff? Are they getting a very interesting perspective, something that's useful, but is it worth that much money? Think about it in terms of other things. Also, this is $28,000. $3,000 is a fairly standard allocation for a conference or something. So that's 10 clubs that could go on conferences with this money and be able to go to leadership stuff and get hands-on experience with that. That is also, say, trying to have a town hall or have another event like that, say a $5,000 event to bring in students. would be spending $30,000 on many clubs to have more people attend. We can't qualitatively value these things, but we can quantitatively value those. How many students will attend? What specifically are they learning from it? How is this getting students more active on campus or causing a discussion or diversity of opinion? I see in principle and theory where that could be. I have yet to see very much practical evidence that even bringing a huge name speaker, Michelle Obama, I think it was $1 million to spruce up the campus. Is that roughly correct, Rose? It cost $1 million, right, to bring Michelle Obama. You're right, it's mentioned a lot. You Google it, you'll see Michelle on there. People mention that Michelle came here. It did put us a little bit on the map. That was $1 million. And did that have discussion? Not really. Was it educational? Not really. It was an honor for the campus, and that cost $1 million. So even Michelle Obama, the First Lady of the United States, did students really benefit from that outside of, I think, just getting some cool news coverage like, hey, look, we were on there? I don't know. I wouldn't say we necessarily did. And that was with her doing it for free. Like, that was just sprucing up the campus and stuff. So this is going directly to a speaker's fee. And I think that's important. And maybe I'm just not seeing that. But partly, that should be a discussion at the table. I haven't heard anything about what students on campus are getting out of this specifically with that. I don't see it in just the event itself.
Senator Mondes?
Firstly, money will be returned to us in the end for an event like this. And secondly, you do get a very special and unique take from people like this. Julian Castro and Ruben Alvarez are not only friends. Julian Castro provides a very unique perspective that can great educational experience for students here. So when it comes to what students can get out of this, we're also going to be trying to maximize the amount of time that they get with the students. The second half of the event, of the portion of the event that focuses on Julian and Ruben, is a Q&A session specifically for students to ask them these kinds of questions, to be able to interface them, as well as meet and greets and receptions in order for students to actually meet with them, talk with them, being able to network with them. Things that students really need at a school like this, or any school, for example. So when it comes down to it, I do heavily believe that the students have a lot to gain from this. A special perspective from two prominent Latino politicians, from a prominent Latino politician and a prominent Latino columnist in front of us here at a school like this. Above that, it's going to be a huge exposure event for our school. Students can be able to walk away saying certain things like, I was able to meet this person, I was able to hear them speak and hear their views. And these are two men that are very close to the issues of education, things that students are mostly concerned about. Julian Castro started the first college cafes program in San Antonio, which helps students find a way to get into college, help them with their application process, help them get into a school and choose a school, things like that. It's a very big thing that he's done for that. And Ruben it comes from this area. Both these men were able to get very high-level educations. Education is an issue that's very close to them and an issue that directly affects us students. So these men are excellently qualified to speak on these issues and teach students about these issues and show them different sides of a potentially very wide-ranging argument. So students have a lot to gain from this, I'd argue, from not just personal contact and as well as education from on the stage, as well as one-to-one individual interaction with these two individuals.
Senator Brown?
Yeah, I was just, the one big benefit to the institution of having big profile speakers is we see a huge spike in our applications, right? And people coming here as their first choice. And so we talk about the Obama effect in our enrollment numbers, right? And so we had huge spike for us. And the other thing that happened is students were choosing UC Merced as its first choice institution, which also then has huge implications for retention factors. If you came here because it was your fourth choice, the likelihood that you say decreases, right? And so it has impacts like that, which is more long-term impacts, while Michelle may have not had any direct learning outcomes, it did have big impacts for the overall campus. And that's what big profile speakers can do, is that they put the institution. So.
Senator Monk, okay, so we are done with time. Need a motion if you guys choose to extend time. Senator Wong?
Motion to extend time by 10 minutes.
Okay, there's been a motion to extend time by 10 minutes. Is there a second? Senator Gallon?
Second.
Second by Senator Gallon. Any discussion? Anyone opposed to extending time by 10? You said 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes? Okay, time has been extended by 10 minutes. Senator Jones?
Okay, when we're looking at this, we're so focused on them being high-profile speakers, but we're not looking at what they actually have to offer and what they actually have to bring to the campus. These are people, well, one of them, he's actually from the Central Valley, and to come back, that's important. And we need to realize what can students gain from this, and I think students have a lot to gain from this because they're going to speak about issues that pertain to us. As students, we should be interested in politics to a certain extent because these are policies and things that will directly affect us.
Senator Zisser?
Yeah, I agree, and I think that they're gonna probably talk about issues that pertain to us. And since this is a Republican club, and it's a political club, I know that they're pretty active in trying to get students to think about more political issues and just like kind of gauge things to see how students should take on roles. So I'd like to give the floor to Senator from the Republic Club. They like to talk about maybe like a satisfy what Jared said, future workshop or something where they can follow up.
So I've been speaking with Ruben. Obviously, we're friends. He's actually a mentor of mine. So basically, the meet and greet, him and Julian have already agreed to it. So if you guys know Julian's biography, he went to Stanford, him and his twin brother Joaquin, and there were actually student elected officials at Stanford who actually hold a record for the most votes as a student senator. So you guys as senators, you guys would be getting that experience to actually interact with the former senator at the student level. But then once again, when it comes to the type of people we're bringing, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because once it comes to 2014, 2015, Hillary Clinton is more than likely to get what's called a Democrat nomination in 2016. So trying to book this guy is going to be impossible, and if not impossible, it's alone, his prices are on rise to $25,000 and more. So just to get one speaker, the only reason they reduced their prices is because one, like I said, he's one of my mentors. Two, they'll be appearing together in the same venue. So they're willing to reduce their prices. Julian's what's called price right now, like I said, it was $17,500. He's reducing it to $13,500. And that might not be a lot to you guys, but they're willing to take coach economy flights out here to speak to you guys. They're willing to take the crappiest hotel, and instead of taking a 5-star hotel in Fresno, just to come and interact with you guys, is they actually care about the youth and they care about UC Merced growing as an institution. Like Zach pointed out, what's called, you guys are bringing up the academic perspective of this. Julian Castro was the first mayor to actually go out and start his own what's called program to help kids in underserved communities apply to college and actually get accepted into college. And that includes the Catholic colleges. It was bachelor workshops. It's admission process. Actually talking to admission officers. Also, one thing that Julian Castro notably did last year was that he passed a pre-K referendum. So before last year, San Antonio had never actually had a pre-K program. So in the next 4 years, they passed for the next 4 years, 20,000 students from the age of 4 would be able to enroll in pre-K. So what that means is that they're going to start their education early and eventually end up at a higher institution. And like we said, sponsorships. One sponsor is already locked in, Raul Malik, which he will be delivering the keynote speech. Last year, he was the chairman of the largest Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which is in San Antonio. He was called a Saberes por el chairman, and he's the founder. He was also on the advisory board of Maldoff, which, if you guys don't know, that's the largest civil rights organization law firm in the U.S. And through Maldoff is the reason you guys are getting public education from K through 12th grade. They're the ones that took that to the Supreme Court. So from an education perspective, you guys will also be learning about that. And then that's pretty much all I have to say.
Call to order. Everyone's saying the same thing. Let's just get this to a vote. Nothing's very provided for everyone to make a good decision. So I say we should just take this to a vote.
Okay. So there's been a motion to call to order. Senator Brown?
Second.
Second by Senator Brown. All those in favor of ending discussion and moving to a vote, please raise your hands. Approve unanimously. Wait. No, not unanimously. Okay. Senator Jones, Please raise your hands, I'm sorry, I thought of Senator Jones, Senator Gray, Senator Hernandez, Senator Rosenberg, Senator Daniel, Senator T, Senator Escamilla, Senator He, Senator Wong, Senator Taylor, Senator Garland, and Senator Brown. All those opposed? Senator Zisser. All those abstaining? Well, that counts as, you remember it counts as.
I know, I'm trying not to hit your cords back here.
Oh, okay. So discussion has ended and we are now moving to a vote. All those in favor of approving bill number 26, the Castro Navarrete bill, please raise your hands. Oh, approving that. Oh, never. Senator, I don't always look for him, sorry. Senator Jones, Senator Garay, Senator Hernandez, Senator Rosenberg, Senator. No, she's not raising her hand. She's right next to you. Senator Rosenberg. Okay, I'm sorry. Senator Daniel, Senator T, Senator Escamilla, Senator He, Senator Zisser, Senator Wong, Senator Taylor, Senator Brown. All those opposed? Senator Garland. Bill number 26 passes. Okay, new business. Funding for bare necessities run introduced by Senator Garland. Senator Garland.
Okay, so, motion to approve funding for bare necessities run and send to committee as a whole.
You just motion
So
to
you motion to send to committees.
Okay, motion to send funding for bare necessities run to committee as a whole.
There's been a motion to send bill number 27 to committee as a whole. Is there a second, Senator Gray? Seconded by Senator Gray. Okay, we are now in committee as a whole.
No.
No. Isn't it
We just
discussion?
send it to committee as a whole.
Yeah.
We actually have to vote to move into committee as a whole. I'd say just go through all the bills, send them all to committee as a whole, then move in and discuss them.
I think we have to go item by item.
Well, no, because we just addressed that item, so technically.
If you move into committee of the whole, you can discuss both bills simultaneously while you move into the whole and then come back.
Okay, so you don't say just, okay, so, anyone opposed to moving to committee as a whole? I'm just gonna go do opposed. Okay, we are now into committee as a whole. Senator Gillen?
Okay, so explanation to why I moved this to committee as a whole. So, bare necessities, is basically, as was mentioned, is going to be like, our like undie run, but it's for a good cause, for participants to donate clothing or funding to go to the Merced County Rescue Mission's annual holiday clothing and food drive. Hence the name bare necessities, because when you're running in your undies, like, you actually kind of understand what it's like to have like, to be financially unfortunate, in an unfortunate position. Furthermore, they did send this via online to, like, they submitted a form through our website and nobody looked at it. And then they came back 2 weeks later and asked us what happened to their bill. And due to time constraints, because this is on Friday, I submitted it to Ivan, and that's why it's coming to committee as a whole, because it's this Friday. And they submitted it in through our online form November 4th, as advised by Steve. So, because this is technically ASUCM's fault that we never really got to it, I don't know whose job it is to like look at the online form. It is presented here at this table.
Point of information, the chairs receive it. The chair is supposed to receive legislation. Senator
I'm
Mondo?
not a chair.
The legislation was apparently supposed to go to me, but as you all know, the email, our webmail, has been going insane lately. I haven't been receiving some mail. I also have not been able to log into my email for sometimes even over a week at a time. So I guess part of it falls on me, because it was supposed to go to me, though me personally, I never actually received the legislation, and my email has been inaccessible many times and unable to actually function for the most part. So I apologize for that.
Might as well discuss the other bill.
Oh, the other bill, funding for prevent. Okay,
Wait, could you
We
say
have-
discuss those?
No,
I
because
thought we
we never
discussed it.
sent that one to committee as a whole.
Oh, okay. We're still on.
We're just on bare necessities.
Yes, sir. Senator Daniel?
I'm not sure if you received the email, the bond email.
Oh.
Added to cut part of the bill from
yeah.
double checking, it's to $200 for due to them not posting the lawsuit declaration event, they are cutting $200.
Senator Jones?
If you guys would like to see this bill, not only this bill for bare necessities run, but if we do agree on sending the funding for pre-veterinarian club to committee as a whole as well, it is all available through Facebook. Also, I sent this to Ivan, so if you would like to pull it up on the screen, it will be there. And I would like to make an amendment to my bill for funding for bare necessities.
Kaylin, can you go to pending legislation, please? May I entertain a point of privilege so we can get all the files on?
How long do you need?
Like 2 minutes. Senator Mondes?
Point of privilege for 2-minute recess.
Senator Gillen? Yeah, we're back into discussion. Sorry, everyone, we're back into discussion. Senator Gillen?
Okay, so I'd like to make an amendment to my bill. After consulting the president of BSU, Black Student Union, to volunteer bills, he would like to remove the boxers, so that's remove all $400 from the bill.
So what's the new plus?
Well, that's the other thing. He also wants to redirect like $200 extra to the other expenses. So I'll just, for the sake of time, I'll just put it to flashlights. So he's saying that like they need more like flashlights. So that's $255.70.
Oh, whatever, the total is $5.
Yeah. So it's $255.70. And so the total cost. So the total cost is going to be $590.
Any more discussion? Senator Zissou?
How many students are planning on attending? Or are that they planning on attending?
Senator Gillen?
They never really gave me an accurate number, but it has been noted that a lot of students on campus really do support having an undue run. So they're planning on having at least like, I guess it would be 500 students attend. For all intents and purposes, the rest of this bill, because the boxers are now out, is just basically for safety purposes as well as like to encourage fun, because this is basically going to be on campus. They want to make sure that everybody is safe in an environment. So the body paint, necklaces, bracelets, flashlights, they're all basically glow in the dark, and to make sure that nobody runs over like trips or falls, runs over other people, and yeah, just to minimize the likelihood of an injury when you're running in the dark. It's also the spirit of the event, specifically symbolizing essentials that need to be donated to the less fortunate in the Riverside County community, hence the word bare necessities, so that's why you're running in your underwear. And also because a lot of students have been expressing that there's a lack of Bobcat pride. There hasn't been a specific event on campus that really unites students for a cause, and while other campuses might have something like this, such as an undie run, this is also for a good cause that helps the Merced County community, and I think that's a really good thing that would help ensure that UC Merced is making strides into like helping the community around them.
Senator Munden?
This being a First Amendment nature at our school, it's really hard to gauge how many students will actually show up if there is events this year, as Senator Garland said. And as you can see, they've already put out large barrels for people to start donating clothes already this week. And so all the shows of support say that I think this will be very successful and a lot of people showing up, and this will work as a metric in the future for us to gauge future events like this.
Senator Daniel?
And to add a estimated number going off the fifth event, approximately 300 plus students have shown expressed interest in this, and there's actually plans for the whole run and that.
Senator Hernandez?
I'm just wondering why you didn't go to ICC to get funding for this?
Senator Gray.
I should have said, they tried to get this through 2 weeks ago, so it was actually on our fault. You know, it was our fault that we didn't actually look at the website, which we tell students that they could also submit the bills online, and we are not taking care of that. So her doing this right now is just trying to, you know, kind of make up for the lack of attention that we've been giving to this bill. This bill's not asking for much. It's a great event. I completely agree with what he's saying. So, you know, the main thing we should focus on is the benefit of the community and people who, you know, are low income and need this kind of clothes, and that's what we should be looking towards. $700 to help the community. It's not a big.
Yeah, Joe was just saying, there's rules, there's an online form you could do for ICC too. I was just wondering why they didn't go over there, but they have to come on.
Senator Gavin.
It's to my understanding that ICC has like big ticket items at the beginning of the school year and then progressively like cuts it down to smaller amounts. So I think that could be the reason why they didn't go to ICC for this, but that is a good point.
Senator Wong.
And just to clarify, ICC, the way it works is every month, the first week, you'll get the big ticket items, so like items above 1,000, and then for the rest of the month, it'll be below the 1,000, and that'll be considered a smaller ticket item. Before, the inconvenient thing for a lot of clubs is that for you to be able to submit a bill through your club for the big ticket item is if you attend the previous 2 meetings. Yeah, and for every month there's a set budget for ICC. So when they don't spend certain money, does that make sense? Like there's a quota. But in my knowledge, for the past, like for this year anyway, so far they have not spent everything every month. Like they have a lot left every month.
As a member of the Student Activities Committee, we mentioned, and we haven't already done this for the past couple of bills because we haven't gotten too many like new stuff, some new stuff, but I'd like to add a friendly amendment to be it further enacted clause that says that they're going to report back to us, because this is a new event, report back to us with like a successes and failures, so that way, because I'd love to do this event more in the future, depending on like how well it goes, so I'd like to make a friendly amendment to add that.
Do you accept?
So there's two introducers to this. It's
Who's the
Senator
other one?
Wanda
I accept
and
as well.
So,
Yeah,
okay.
both the other accept.
Then yeah, I
Okay.
accept as well.
Caitlin, can you please add that to the bill? Be it further enacted that the host of this organization will come to, the host of this event will come 2 weeks after the event to report on the
Successes and failures.
Successes and failures of this event. Thank you. Senator Jones.
I just have a comment about us continually adding this. They come back and report to us. We added, how many times have we added this to bills? And how many clubs have actually come back? I think it's a little dictatorship-ish. I know it's not a word, but I just made it. But I feel like as Senate, when we're passing these things, I know personally, I try to go to every event that a club does, whether they come to ASUCM or not. And I feel like as senators, that's part of being transparent and being there. We should go there. We should go check out these events. I know personally I do. And then after the event, let's sit down and let's talk to these club members. I feel like that's more effective than saying, we give you money, now you come back and tell me how it went. Rather than, let's go enjoy this event and support this club in this event and see how it went personally, and then have the opportunity to sit down and talk with the organizers of this event. It's just a comment about it. It's already in there, so, yeah.
Okay, any more discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, now, how do we move out? We move out of committee of this? Or did that vote to move out? Or do we just move out?
I think we voted. I think we voted to move back again.
Okay, Senator Gavin?
Motion to move out of committee as a whole into discussion.
No, we just move out.
Oh,
We go back.
motion to move out of committee as a whole.
There's been a motion to move out of committee as well. Is there a second? Senator Daniel?
I second.
Second by Senator Daniel. Any discussion? Anyone opposed to moving out of committee as a whole? Okay, we're now out of committee as a whole.
Now you have to motion.
Senator Gavin?
Motion to vote? Approve, okay. Motion to approve bill number 27, I believe, funding for bare necessities run.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve bill number 27. Is there a second? Senator Gray?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Gray. Any discussion? Senator Sue?
Well, because I thought we lowered it by 200, and then if you go to the first like B enacted, I think it still says the original like 700. So I don't know if we should change it.
Yeah, that'll be changed.
Oh.
Should fix it up right now. Okay, we're now moving to the vote. All those in favor of approving bill number 27, please raise your hands. Approved unanimously. Okay, bill number 28, funding for the pre-veterinarian club, introduced by Senator Gillen. Senator Gillen.
Motion to move bill number 28, funding for pre-veterinarian club, to committee as a whole.
There's been a motion to move into committee as a whole.
No, to send.
To send bill number 28 to committee as a whole. Is there a second? Senator Brown, seconded by Senator Brown. Any discussion on moving to committee as a whole? Senator.
I thought we just did that, I mean, I know we just did that, but I thought we were gonna discuss both bills.
She was already in the motion
Oh.
and she couldn't send it. Discussion. Anyone opposed to moving to committee as a whole? Okay, and committee as a whole. Senator Gillen.
So, funding for veterinary club. So this is a club that's been around, as they mentioned during public forum, for 5 years already. They've never asked ASUCM for any amount of money, but they are kind of struggling as a smaller club on campus. The reason why I decided to move this to committee as a whole, even though like I really don't encourage that we keep doing this, is because they originally went to ICC to ask for this money, but ICC just changed their policy where they don't like include travel expenses outside of campus, and this is a one-day trip where they will be going to Sonora, and because of this, like they had to go to ASUCM and ask for the money, and they are traveling on Saturday. To clarify any any miscommunications, they have not spent this money. It's gas reimbursement for the future, as in like whether or not we decide on this today is whether or not they go this Saturday. So it would have to be signed by President Brandon very soon after this meeting. And they're asking for $60.72. If you look in Appendix A, notes, we reimburse 55 cents per mile. It's 55.2 miles to Sonora, and the round trip costs $60.72. And also, Sonora is one of the closest places around Merced County that allows human-to-deer interaction and keeps deer as pets, which is very vital for them to go into veterinarian school. I did research on this actually, just to make sure that like to go to veterinarian school, you need to have interaction with animals, and it's true. Various sites, if you look online, will tell you that you need like experience with animals. So, yeah. And also deer is considered an exotic species because not many people really have it as pets. And I think it's also because they get hunted. So,
We don't all have pet deer.
well, you have a deer reservation.
As far as I know.
Everyone? Senator Jones?
Okay, so two things. One, pre-vet did get money from ASUCM last year, but it wasn't by themselves. It was in combination with pre-optometry and pre-dental. And it wasn't a lot. It was only 1,000 for about 18 students to go to another conference. And then the second thing, I'm just a little concerned because it says gas reimbursement. And I know that, I'm really concerned with that terminology because we spoke a lot about being consistent in our decisions. And I know before someone came to us for reimbursement, and we're like flat out, no, we don't do reimbursement. So, yeah.
Senator Brown?
Like she said, it was, we're doing this preemptively, so they haven't actually spent this money yet. So technically, we're putting the money there for them to be reimbursed later, which they haven't. What we did before, we took out reimbursement because they had already spent the money, and they were sort of expecting us to pay them back. Now they're asking for us to reimburse their gas that they might use, but their travel is contingent upon whether we're willing to do that or not.
Senator Gill?
So I told them to talk to Connie because it's this Saturday. And OSL usually takes like a week for them to like have like gas, like to give the club gas. And the reason why I picked gas reimbursement is because if President Brandon was to sign today or like tonight or tomorrow, I'm including like the factor that I don't want to rush OSL. It might take a week. That's why it says gas reimbursement, because if we approve of this, they'll have like money like stored away for them to use this Saturday. If not, I don't know if they're going to actually go this Saturday.
Well, I was just concerned because like the wording, and if another club was to go back and look at, say someone looks at legislation, they're like, oh, it says reimbursement, but we didn't get reimbursement, so that was my concern.
Senator Mondo?
So Kennedy and Sam all met with them last week, I think it was, about this issue. So apparently they went about it pretty much the opposite of what many organizations that come to us do. So they paid their own registration to conferences before, they've gone to them and everything. The one thing they haven't come to us to ask for, they didn't come to us to ask for those, so they're coming to us for gas because that's the one thing they actually need from us. Usually we cut gas because we figure it's a superfluous expenditure. They have a lot of other stuff we're paying for, we're able to cut it. In this case though, this is all they're asking for. So it's a little bit different. Travel, again, is contingent on getting this money.
I'd like to make an amendment to my bill and strike out reimbursement from the category.
Do you accept?
Just accept
Any more discussion? Senator Brown?
I'd like to yield the floor to Dr. Neef. Well, all right, let's try President Brandon first.
Great. The gas reimbursement rate for the University of California is actually 56.5 cents per mile, not 55. That was the old rate. And we do allow reimbursements. We do reimbursements in the exec branch and stuff. That's how we end up getting gas. And that's because you can't really take a purchase order to a non-vendor gasoline station, right? You need to pay for it with cash or credit and then get reimbursed. They just don't encourage reimbursements because if you can't afford to like lose that money and not get it, they say don't use a reimbursement. So it's like the last thing we should do. But in this case, gas, that's standard. That's how Jefferson, that's how all EVPs go travel. We do reimbursements. I think we should hold clubs the same standards we do exams. So.
Thank you, President Brandon. You know, next time we can just do point of information without being yielded on, or point of clarification? Yeah, great.
Yeah, you call it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what we changed the bylaw to.
Senator Guillaume?
Okay, so with that being said, a 55 cents is actually 56 cents. If you change it, yeah, you just change the, change all of it. It's $61.82.
I don't know.
That's stretching 6 bucks.
So it's $61.82. Yeah, so you should just change that.
Okay, any more discussion? Senator Escamilla?
I think it's 56.5.
Oh,
It's 56.5.
so it's $62.38. $62.38.
Any more discussion? Okay, we're moving to vote to move out of committee as a whole. All those in favor of moving out of committee as a whole, please raise your hands.
I thought someone had the motion.
Well, if no one's gonna say it, then we just move straight. I'm gonna treat it just like a vote because.
All right.
Okay, pass unanimously. We're now out of committee as a whole. Okay.
Motion to approve funding for pre-veterinary club.
Okay, so there's been a motion to approve bill number 28, funding for the pre-veterinary club. Is there a second? Senator Taylor?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Taylor. Any discussion? Okay. Right now moving to vote. All those in favor of approving bill number 28, please raise your hands. Passed unanimously. Okay, bill number 29, funding for Bobcats, introduced by Senator Garland.
Okay, funding for Bobcats, motion,
Senator Garland.
motion to, send to all committees.
There's been a motion to send bill number 29 to all committees. Is there a second? Senator Taylor?
Second.
Second by Senator Taylor. Any discussion? Anyone opposed to sending bill number 29 to all committees? Okay. Bill number 29 has been sent to all committees. Bill number 20, bill number 30, the one team mentality introduced by Senator Daniel. Senator Daniel?
Motion to send this bill, bill 29, the one team mentality to.
Bill 30.
Oh, bill 30, the one team mentality to all.
There's a motion to send bill number 20, bill number 30, the one team mentality to all committees. Is there a second? Senator Escamilla?
Second.
Second by Senator Escamilla. Any discussion? Senator Daniel?
So I'm going to be moving sent to the committee as a whole to discuss this bill. During one of the meetings I missed, the only meeting I missed, the legislation I was attending, and it is my fault not to keep up with such editing and what happens during the Senate meeting. I've been trying to catch up per se, but the reason why I'm moving this to committee as a whole is to discuss this and do it in a more formal way. Generally speaking, every time we edit the bylaws, it has to be presented in the form of a bill, and the bill has the possibility of being vetoed by President Brandon due to his concerns about the action of Senate to edit those bylaws as amended in this bill to define the members of honorary. And yes, I have to edit the bill itself, but to edit what it means to be an honorary member and put restrictions on such members so they don't sway the Senate meeting. Because this is, as stated by several members, this is our meeting. We have the voice and we determine a lot of things. So that's why I'm about to make a motion to send it to whole, and I'm going to.
Your motion is sent to all committees though.
Yeah, well, this is a discussion to explain why.
It doesn't work like that. You have to resend your motion.
Okay.
You motion to send to all committees.
So,
Senator Daniel?
no.
Okay, so all those in favor of sending all committees, please raise your hands.
I'm confused.
Okay, so I added an explanation in the wrong motion. So this is the motion to send this bill to all committees. I'm going to make a second motion to send Senate to all committees after this motion.
Wait, you mean to, so, all right.
Okay, sorry.
Point of order,
Okay.
point of order. If you want to discuss it now, it needs to be sent to committee as a whole, not to all committees. All committees commits it to the 1 week process. So you would have to rescind your motion right now and send it to committee as a whole, then we move into committee as a whole.
I rescind the motion, and I motion to send bill number 30 to committee as a whole.
There's been a motion to send bill number 30 to committee as a whole. Is there a second? Okay, that motion dies. The motion.
We need to make another motion.
Yeah. Senator Mondo?
Motion to send bill number 30 to all committees.
There's been a motion to send bill number 30 to all committees. Is there a second? Senator Brown?
Second.
Second by Senator Brown. Any discussion? Anyone opposed to sending bill number 30 to all committees? Okay, bill number 30 has been sent to all committees. Okay, resolution number 8, codifying ASUCM bylaws introduced by Senator Daniel.
Motion to send codifying the ASUCM bylaws as well.
There's a motion to send resolution number 8 to all committees. Is there a second? Senator Zisser?
Second.
Second by Senator Zisser. Any discussion? Anyone opposed to sending resolution number 8 to all committees? Okay, resolution number 8 has been sent to all committees. Next item on the agenda, Senate action, cancellation of November 27th, 2013 Senate meeting, which is next week. Need a motion? Senator Brown?
Motion to cancel the November 27th, 2013 Senate meeting.
Okay, there's been a motion to cancel the November 27th Senate meeting. Is there a second? Senator Mondo?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Mondo. Okay, any discussion? Senator Guerra?
How many meetings are we gonna have in the month of December? Is it 2?
2, right? Yeah. Senator Mondo?
Should this get canceled? Do we still hold committee meetings on Monday?
Yes, you still have to discuss the legislation.
Okay, we can't just move that to the next week because
Yeah, just let me know ahead of time so we have the process. Senator Daniel?
Just for clarification, how many senators will be present next week during that time?
University's closed by 6 o'clock.
Senator,
Is 2 weeks enough time to pass a bill? Or is 2 meetings enough to?
That's as much time as it takes.
Senator Daniel?
Would it be possible to move the actual meeting, the time up? Instead of at 7:30, but I still have the meeting that day, but have it earlier in the day.
Senator Brown?
Point of clarification. Yes, that is possible. But we need a motion for it.
Right now, we're in the motion to cancel next week's meeting. Senator Galen?
Point of information, it needs to be passed by 2/3. So we'd have to agree on a time that everybody can meet.
And we can't do that right now. We need it, yeah. Senator Daniel?
Just for the sake of passing the legislation, since we only have 2 meetings after, let's say we cancel this, we'll have 2 meetings after that. If any bill were to be submitted or resolution to be submitted, let's say next week or the week after that, then that would be able to be processed unless we moved Senate into a committee as a whole. So just for the sake of time and opportunities for other students, before the last meeting and before the breaks, we should still have this meeting, but at earlier time so that we can all agree on.
Senator Wong?
A lot of students, they usually focus on finals, so usually we won't have a lot of activities on campus towards the end of the year. And the other thing is clubs and orgs should be planning accordingly, because they already know how it is with the ASUCM and ICC throughout the other years. So that shouldn't be a concern for just this year alone. And if they want to propose something for the spring because it's urgent, then that should be on the table right now.
Senator McLeod?
A lot of people leave on Tuesday. And we do not have the time to sit down, look at everyone's schedule, and agree upon a time, especially a time to have a Senate meeting, seeing as how we have just run 4 hours into this meeting, and next meeting I don't see being incredibly short-winded. We do not have enough time to agree upon time, probably, it's Thanksgiving, okay, we're not, not enough people are gonna be here to hold the Senate meeting, but that's fine. And I was gonna yield before the documents.
I was just gonna say the last week of classes is dead week, so no activities can actually be scheduled during that week. So really there's only 1 week left that any club or organization can have an activity. They can still meet during dead week, but it's not a week that clubs or organizations are allowed to have these activities the week before finals. So if they don't have a bill in now, there's only 1 week left for them to have it.
Okay, all those in favor of approving, of canceling next week's Senate meeting, please raise your hands. All those opposed? Okay. Next week's Senate meeting has been canceled. Announcements. Anybody have announcements? No, Senator Gray.
So trying to work on that. But, I did post on Classified, some of you guys probably saw it. I got a couple messages from a couple students who are actually interested in doing this. It'd be something really great to incorporate artists and engineers to really work on a project that's going to bring on campus and, to definitely compete against the UC and colleges across.
Senator Mondo. Senator Gillen.
Okay, so, as discussed during the ASUCM retreat, I am going to go forward with Secret Santa. So sign-up sheets are going to be made available on Friday. I'm going to go around to, obviously, ASUCM. I don't know about Port right now because I'm trying to kick them out of office. I'm going to go to OSL and ask, I'm just going to set up. I'm just going to send around sign-up sheets if you want to participate. Just going to tell you in advance, the maximum you should be spending in total for Secret Santa would be $50 because
that's our check.
I know, maximum. I never told you how much you should spend. I'm just saying maximum, like, $50, because first gift, max you should spend is 10.
Make the minimum.
Second gift, okay, minimum 1 cent. I don't really know where you're gonna go for these things. 99-cent store, yeah. You can get some pretty nice gifts from the 99-cent store. So it's just to encourage, like, all branches of ASUCM. It's not just Senate, and it's not just executives or court. It's also, like, parts of the OSL, CAB that we also went on the street. So, yeah.
Okay, so I have a quick announcement. So as stated earlier, at the exec meeting, we did come to the decision what's going to happen to court, and it's really important that this is going to be a very large internal structure change for ASUCM, and as President Brandon said, we do need the support of all of you if they choose not to resign. It was a very hard decision, but we hopefully to get the support of the Senate and the rest of the execs, and hope for the best.